Hey Spuddies, PotatoMcWhiskey here, and welcome to Humankind. The great thing about this current tutorial series that we're in is we have reached a point where we're semi-untouchable. We're far too powerful for all the other nations in the game, and this affords us a lot of responsibility because we are obviously negotiating and deciding how the game goes, but it's also a lot of freedom in that we get to explore these last three eras of the game. It's sort of total, unchecked power. We can't be stopped, basically, is my point. It's going to be tough for anyone to really kind of stand up to me and tell me, oh, hey, you can't do that, because, I can do whatever I want. Right. Our settler has made it to this new island. I'm wondering, is that just like some sort of mountain? Oh, it's the Kawa Ijen, which is a natural wonder. So I definitely want to go ahead and grab control of that. I'm excited and happy to see that my people have made it over here. And I think the majority of what we're doing right now is just making sure that a lot of our stuff is sort of, churning along nicely. I'm focusing on the economic development of my empire now. Can we efficiently make it to the next era? Speaking of making it to the next era, 2 more techs, and I think 2 more techs, and then we launch. Knossos has finished building its fortress island, which is very exciting to me. I kind of want to have a couple of units over there too, maybe some range units. Let's kind of like talk about the development of the city. We have really, really good stability. We're running out of jobs. We have tons of food. So I think it's time to start turning this food and industry into things like money and science. So in a big way, we should identify locations where it's worth it. Am I getting benefits over here? Interesting. So if there's any of these that I could pick up that would, for example, here's money on naval trade routes. That seems pretty reasonable. Although I do need more jobs. Let's handle the jobs thing, because I don't think we can do overpopulation in this game. So we'll pop down this research quarter and then buy it, because that'll let me pop down to this will allow me to queue up all of the research quarters around this strategic resource, which is absolutely what you should do in this scenario, in my opinion. You should surround your strategic resources with research quarters, and then you should surround your luxuries with merchant quarters, or at the very least, triangles. Like, for example, maybe I should do some sort of triangular configuration of all of these things, like research quarters there, that's a triangle, and then another triangle, like here's another triangle, and then on the edge of these triangles put like stability districts like the commons quarters. I don't know, that's kind of where I'm coming from. But yeah, we got a ton of stuff queued up here. It'll take 15 turns to build, which is fine. Chartered companies has been researched. This gives me access to barracks services, so extra money on my outposts, as well as banking, which is a 10% money upgrade across my city. The stock exchange, which is +2 money per trader, and the cabinet of curiosities, which is +1 science per population. I'm going to want to build all of those, especially in my capital. Like, for example, the cabinet of curiosities here is worth 64 science, which is about 10% of this city's science output, and the stock exchange is also worth about 20 gold. So these are all worthwhile to build, because they'll kind of stack up over time to give me a lot of value. Let's have a look at Thebes as well. Thebes is struggling on the food front, but not on the industry front. So I think what I'll do in Thebes is find a nice open patch of like farmable terrain. For example, over here, there's some really, really good farmable terrain here. And I'll just pop down a hamlet somewhere in the area. There is a little bit of a stability problem, but that shouldn't stop me. But yeah, we pop down the hamlet and then we'll start building some farming quarters off of that. We earned a merchant star. Awesome. Brilliant. More stars is good. We gotta get that fame up. Let's see. So this settler can actually found a city. Now the outpost reckons here or here is good. I'm gonna settle right there. +30, +19. Looks like the spot. This city has a ton of infrastructure. In fact, it's only missing some of the latest infrastructure that we've built. And I can go ahead and like pop down hamlets and stuff in here. I definitely feel like a harbor is important to grab in this city. And then the barray as well. So we'll do barray, hamlet, a little bit of farming as well, and that should cover the city for its starting stages. My capital of Memphis just builds things so absurdly quickly. It's actually kind of crazy. Maybe it would be good to get my harbors up in here. Something I've been neglecting. All right, so we'll pop a harbor there. We'll pop a harbor right there, and we will pop a harbor right there. Actually, that last harbor I'm going to move to this trading port. Haranica is in sort of similar situation. It has okay stability. It's nearing its population capacity. It could do with more food, and a lot more jobs. And a lot more jobs would come in the form of a hamlet that would help me build up my population. So for example, I could pop some hamlets down, not really for anything other than the job slots, so that the city can continue to grow. So maybe I'll pop a hamlet like right there, and then I'll do another hamlet like, sure, why not over there, and then we'll pop a hamlet here. Not really worried about exactly what these hamlets do. I'm just kind of using them as a way to get efficient numbers of jobs per turn. Nice, we got our hamlet in here, so we can start building the farming quarters that I planned. So I will purchase the farming quarter, pop down to more farming quarters, and then make sure I put a couple of commons quarters around there. Hagmatana is very stable, but it's at its population limit, so we could use a hamlet or two, I reckon. An extra hamlet here or there should stabilize this city a little bit. So I will pop a hamlet in here. A hamlet down here works for me. It's a little bit low on food actually too, so I need to identify like a farming section, and I reckon if I deselect the city, it's not a bad little farming section over here, so I'll probably plop down a couple farms on this river. There you go, happy days, man. So we have unlocked movable typefaces. This gives us access to the university as well as the printing house. So the university is an education level 2. It adds extra science and research quarters, an extra 3 per research quarter, as well as +1 science per research quarter per adjacent research quarter. So quite a big boost to our science. You know, if you build 3 research quarters adjacent to each other, you're getting upwards of like 9 science +6. You're getting like 15 science out of this in a single city. We have printing houses, which give us extra 2 science per researcher and +3 researcher slots. Excited for that one. That one seems quite good. It's a level 3 of the knowledge diffusion technology. And now that is our world deed. We have achieved movable typeface, so that's also a world deed, and that is also an era star. So we have hit the all-important 10k fame number that I wanted to hit before I moved to the next era. And I would need another 5 technologies to hit the next scientist star, as well as like a ton of other resources. But I think this is enough stars for this era. I think 2 golds is enough. I think if you hit 2 golds and maybe a silver, you should be maybe looking to go to the next era. But I definitely need to think about like gold or influence for this next culture. So we have a ton, and I mean a ton of options. We can go for the Persians here. They make wonders cheaper and just generally anything buildable cheaper. So that's quite powerful. Very good production. +1 money per number of trade routes, 5 industry, 5 money, minus stability, that's normal. And it counts as a market quarters and a maker's quarter. Apply swift to any farmer. So this is a caravansary. Okay, this is interesting. So it's somewhere between a maker's quarter and a market quarter. And they also have Jaizerchi. So this is very much so a production and gold civ. Well, I'm looking more for an influence or gold, or maybe influence and gold. So we've got the Austro-Hungarians, which gives you extra influence based on the number of districts you have, as well as extra influence on your emblematic districts. And they have the Opern House, which gives you +1 stability per district and +2 stability per adjacent district. This would be massively useful. The scaling on this is insane. This is really powerful. I could build a massively tall civilization with this. I can build them once per territory, but this would provide me with huge stability and influence scaling. So I'm kind of tempted to go with the Austro-Hungarians here. Definitely jump themselves up to the top of the list, because, I mean, the Persians are cool, but I have enough production. We have the British here, who, what are these guys again? They're an estate, okay. They are an expansionist civ, 10 money, 10 science per number of... So they want a really, really big capital. They get the colonial office. Can only be built in other civilization territories where I am their liege. This is something, if I have a lot of vassals, this can actually be quite good. So the British are actually a good follow-up if you're some sort of domination or conquest-based civ. So this could be quite powerful for a different kind of game, but not for my game right now. Then we have the French, which gives you a 10% science boost in all your cities, and the Exhibition Hall, which gives you +1 science per population and a little bit of influence, which is quite good. Definitely more of a science and influence civ here, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for gold or influence. So maybe the French could actually work quite well for me for that extra science. So the French, between the French and Austro-Hungarians, I would probably take either, to be honest. Then we have the Germans, plus extra combat strength on their naval units, extra combat strength on their air units, as well as the cheaper units. They also have the coking works, which give you +1 production per population, but it does cost you pollution. It does add pollution, and it basically functions as a maker's quarter, which seems quite powerful. Then they also have the U-boat, which I think is like a stealthy, invisible torpedo vessel type thing. So very, very powerful. Very, very powerful units here. Germany seems more of a militaristic, high production civ. I don't know if that's the way I want to go. The Italians, now Italians look very nice here for what I want to do. +10 stability on common quarters and +1 influence on common quarters, and common quarters are half price, which I think combines with what I have, so they should be 25% price. Then we have the Teatro, which gives you influence per trader and researcher, as well as base influence, as well as stability, and extra influence for every commons quarter that's adjacent to it. So this seems quite good. Very, I'm kind of leaning maybe on the Italians here. We've also got the Mexicans, which give you +10% food in all cities, +1 food on the Hacienda, which is +3 per adjacent farmer's quarter, and +1 food on tiles producing food, +1 farmer slot and city and outpost as well. So the Hacienda is actually incredibly powerful for growing massive cities, because not only are you getting a 10% food boost in all cities, every Hacienda you build increases the food of all your food tiles by +1, which is super powerful. I don't really care about unique units at this stage of the game. I'm more interested in what their bonuses are. So Land and Glory, 10% experience on creating a unit per number of attached territories on all cities. Holy crap. Okay, so Russia. If you have a big expansive empire, Russia are insane. Their units are going to pop out at maximum veterancy. They also have the Sobor. I think it would be really cool. Hey, suggestion. They should be able to get +1 veterancy on their units. That should be a thing. Sobor, +3 influence, +5 stability, and extra faith, and 10 health regeneration on units. Very cool. Looks like a very much so defensive oriented build here with extra stability, influence, and faith. Very strong. Very strong civ, offensively or defensively. Got the Siamese. These are a builder. +3 industry per district on all cities. Oh my god. Wow, that's insane. That's really powerful. +1 money from all ongoing trade in all cities. The floating market must be placed on coastal water or lake, and it counts as a market quarter and a maker's quarter, and you can build it once per territory. It gives you +5 industry, as well as +1 money per population, +3 money per adjacent market quarter, and it counts as both a market and maker's quarter. Very powerful. Very powerful. This seems like quite a strong late game gold and production civ. And then we have the Zulu, which gives you extra health regeneration on units. Hopefully that combines with the Temple of Artemis, so that my units would actually heal like 45 health per turn, which would be insane. Nearly half their health regenerated every single turn. The amount of damage you would need to do to a Zulu army to break it would be insane. They also have the Warrior Zindalu, which gives you a bit of stability, extra combat strength, and extra experience on your units. Can be built once per territory. Looking through this list, there's a lot of very militaristic ones. I think I'm torn between going for the French for that really nice science and the Austro-Hungarians for that insane influence and stability here. I reckon the sheer amount of stability that I can get from the Austro-Hungarians means I probably won't need commons quarters for basically the rest of the game, which kind of seems a bit absurd. Whereas the French is a little bit better at science. I'm gonna go for the Austro-Hungarians here. They have the Evidence Bureau Agent, which is a sly unit that ignores all hostile zones of control. It's a gunner, fights at full combat strength even when defending against close combat attacks, so it's different from other range units, and it is quite powerful. So this looks like some sort of late game, special forces. So yeah, let's go for the Austro-Hungarians, plus this uniform looks awesome on my character. Hell yeah. It's like, honestly, that's at least 20% of your decision matrix. Is like, how good does this look on my character? We found another neutral civ. Let's just pop down that there and hope we can make it in time. So the city of Agra, pop down one merchant quarter here, and we'll keep slowly expanding this city, both from a productive and food standpoint. The heresy of science. So I can dispute the facts of science and gain 25% faith and move more in a traditionalist direction, or I can embrace and get 20 science on all my cities. I think I'm going to embrace and take that extra science because that seems really powerful. It'll shave a few turns off of all my things. And we're going to skip the movie again because, again, I want you guys to experience those movies on your own when you're playing the game yourself. And very cool. We've already got a builder star because we're so far ahead. It's kind of insane. We have our first builder star as well as our first population star. We have to do a lot of growing this era, and we have to do a lot of influence gaining this era. So that's going to be maximum priority, in particular in my capital. I'm going to be looking for all of this influence. 77 stability over here. Holy Jesus Christ. I didn't realize that is an absurd amount of stability that I'm going to be able to grab from this. This is going to make it so that my cities are going to be so densely packed. I don't even know how to describe how insane this is. 83 stability, 77 stability, 77 stability, Jesus, 75 stability. And we can build one more 75 stability over here. This is 6 turns from now. This city is going to generate an absurd amount of influence, as well as have literally infinite stability. Like, actually, unironically, infinite stability in here. And I pretty much need to do the same thing everywhere. I need to... let's get one of these. Look at this. Look at this city, right? 43 stability. Okay? 43. Baseline 43 stability from these open houses. And 11 to 13. Oh my god. I'm just popping them down wherever. That's fine. But man, that seems powerful. We got gunpowder warfare, which gave us access to the arquebusier. Arquebussy. What have I just said? Delete this. The arquebussy. Oh god. Okay, so we're heading into the industrial era. We still have a few early modern techs that we should pick up. Let's see here. So we have the grain silos. That would be good to extra food in my city. Thinking about it. Technology is going to become increasingly important for me. So is there anything here I can pick up that would give me tech? Let's see. Colony blueprint, train stations can be placed. Generates rails towards neighboring train stations. Rails allow travel instantly from one train station to another at the cost of 1 movement point. Can be built once per territory. +5 industry per adjacent maker's quarter. Gives a little bit of pollution. Has good stability. Okay. Well, looks like we're going to be spending a good bit of time in this era building armies and building infrastructure. So I'm kind of excited at that possibility. Spend a little bit of time building these open houses. I don't really super care where they go, to be honest. Optimization is less important to me right now than making decisions relatively quickly, because we're kind of in the phase of the game where, again, we've won, right? So, you know, our culture completely dominates the world. Our religion completely dominates the world. I completely dominate the world. I could go to war with pretty much anyone and win that war instantaneously, but I'm not going to. But yeah, we're at that sort of a level. So really what I'm trying to do now is learn more about the game. And this is more about the philosophy of how we play than it is about anything else right now. It's really important that if you beat a lower difficulty, try to don't just give up on the game. Oh, I won. Try to play through it and learn. Some of these late game things, because even if you don't remember all of them the first time you do this, now I know that this thing, artistic expression, exists. So I can be like, oh wow, +1 influence on market quarters or +1 influence on maker's quarters, and this will move me more in the direction of homeland. So maybe I can think about, oh man, the consequences of this is if I go for a money build, I know I'm going to get a ton of influence later. But I went for a production build, which will get me, lots of influence here. So I'll go ahead and take that. But yeah, it's just important to think about these things, It's important that you the more you learn about the late game, the more you can plan ahead and then chain your decisions together into a cohesive narrative of play that's heading in a direction. So we just got centralized power. This is taxation offices, which gives us a little bit of money. And then we have halberdier and the draftees, which are an upgrade to the basic unit that your cities will spawn when they're defending themselves from invasion. Not the most important thing that I've ever encountered in a game. Nice, there's an era star. One of the builder stars has been earned. We're already up to a silver builder star, and we will be hitting gold very, very quickly. Population-wise, agrarian stars are going to become increasingly important to me as well. But yeah, it's all about these operant houses, because again, the scaling on these is insane. Basically, every 10 districts that I build, I get for free now. I like stability-wise. And then, if I surround these with districts, it's also just really, really good. So I'll just pop these down in any old place, not really caring too much about where they go. And this is mainly also because I just really, 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 really want the stability and the influence from these things, which is why I'm prioritizing them so much, because I'm going to try to push for the aesthete star this era, because I am an aesthete culture. So if I push hard for this and I get my influence up, maybe double it, which might be a little bit, impossible, but still. Okay, cool. So we have the aristocratic revolution, which is part of this sort of central government pillar thing. I never even talked about that. There's different sections. This is the economic stuff. This is the military stuff. This is the culture and law stuff. This is the government stuff. This is the society stuff. This is the culture stuff. And then this is the religion stuff over here. So each section has its own theme. So oligarchy. plus 20% money from warfare, or I can get extra science and money on commons quarters. Well, I'm never going to need commons quarters again, but I do have a fair number of them, and I don't need this. So I'll take the little bit of passive income from commons quarters, because now if I go around and look at these, like, they're generating a pretty reasonable amount of money on them. Like, a little bit of money, a little bit of science, a little bit of food, a little bit of gold, a little bit of influence, and a good bit of stability. Like, a commons quarter, give me all that stuff. Couldn't really ask for much more. All right, so we built all the operant houses in here, and we currently have a positive of a lot of stability in here, like an absurd amount of stability. The problem I'm running into here in my capital is actually I'm running out of food, so maybe I should actually execute plan Delta 14, which is build a bajillion farms on this river over here. I don't know, I just made up that number, but I could also do some maker's quarter stuff with this. But I think the farming angle here makes the most sense. If I look, I've got a barray over there. This river has thingy. I may not build on the river, we'll see. But for sure I could turn this section over here into a food section. Why am I getting influence on this district? Huh. Why am I getting influence from my districts? Is that a thing? Ah, so just building districts gives me influence now. Very cool. Austrians, I love you. Yeah, let's go nuts. So start building farmers' quarters. We'll also pop down some fisheries, some fishmongers, taxation office, printing house, and university. And then we may as well get stone walls. So we'll just spend a bit of time building all these infrastructure-y things. Gonna attach Uksa. Agra is gonna be a very, very fun and cool city. There's supply lines. That'll give me extra city cap as well as thoroughfares, which creates roads between outposts of my empire, and road movement has been improved, as well as access to the grain silo, which will give me a little bit of extra food across my empire, which of course naturally I will need. All right, stability in here is about to pop off. Let's just drop down these operant houses. Boosh boosh, operant houses placed. I think I can get a third one. What is this that I have? Whatever it is, it's getting replaced. What is this? A hamlet? I don't need a hamlet. Akkad now officially has infinite stability, so we can do some pretty memey stuff here. Also, we should totally be getting our strategic resources online, like saltpeter, which I had been neglecting. Food positivity in here is actually quite low. We're down to 13. So perhaps it would be a good idea to build my food section over here like I had been planning for a while. I'll pop that in there. More tech time. I think it might be a good idea to pick up patronage here. Influence as well as science. Ooh, yes. And we can also build luxury manufactories. Siege cannons if I wanted to build mortars. Mercantilism would be lots of industry and gold. But I think we head towards encyclopedia for that extra science, because we're falling a little bit behind where we should be technologically, at least in relation to our other stuff. All right, Thebes built its operant houses, so it's very much a very stable nation. And we actually have coal here, which is interesting. We don't have any other strategics. Food surplus is quite good. We're growing fairly rapidly. I'm going to pop down a hamlet here, mainly for the ability to build off of it. And then I'm going to do the same thing sort of over here. It just gives me more tiles I can place districts on, as well as giving the city more population room. Like you can build more things. Or rather, you can attach more districts to these things. So by grabbing these hamlets, they'll add one of each job, which means just technically the city can grow taller. And that's something I want to work on. I want to make big cities. Hagmatana has built all of its sort of per region infrastructure. It's a little bit low on food. So I think we had been building a little food section over here, getting all these things to cooperate. And then I'll even throw in a grain silo to get the city to grow a little bit faster, because it's got room for 10 more population. So the faster we hit that number, the better. We have another civic available. This is irreligion. So I can lose the ability to enforce a state religion, build new holy sites, or pick tenets, but I become immune to religious grievances. Or I can go for state atheism, which gives me 75% foreign religious bonus strength, 25% faith on territories if my territories follow my state religion, and replace the current religion with atheism, lose the ability to build holy sites or pick tenets. All religious civics are locked, and some invested influence are reimbursed. So this is like if I just want to like, bam, get rid of my religion, essentially, which would move me very heavily towards authority. I think I just leave that the way it is. I'm going to stay religious because I'm getting huge benefits from having a religion. So no thanks. Another builder star. So we already have gold builder star. We're close to silver there. Good. Haranica is doing a good job. Let's also get another saltpeter online, because that's going to help us scale a little bit. In fact, this place has 2 saltpeters, which I'm quite happy about. Food-wise, this is another city struggling for food. So let's just do a little bit of this. We have a ton of stability to play with. So we will just go ahead and go Bam, bam, bam. Farm, 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 I think. Farm, 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 farm. We've researched patronage. So now we have access to the luxury manufactory, which I believe is a unique building that can only be built on each type of luxury once per game, and you get extra fame when you do it, but it also makes the luxury better and gives you like special benefits. We have the playhouse, which gives us influence per city, and then the inventor's workshop, which is a science improvement. So if I come into Memphis here and I'll have a look here, I can do a silver or a dyes incense manufactory, which is kind of cool. I don't know what the manufactory does, but I definitely want to be the guy who gets it. So I'm going to pop that down here. This will get rid of the artisan's quarter, but give me a benefit. And then I'll do the same thing for the silver up here. Although maybe I don't want to do the silver. Maybe I'll do silver over here. I'll put this as a silver manufactory, and we'll see. Grab those horses. Horses of courses. Production in here is pretty low. Let's make a couple extra makers quarters to make up for that. Overseas interests, so an era of grand commerce. We can accept the fact that we won't interfere with the free market ideology. We can nationalize the riches, which will move us more towards collectivism, or we can tax, which will move us more towards authority. How do you want to now merchant companies? So how do we want to deal with merchant companies? I say this is like our libertarian option. This is like our sort of nationalize. I don't know if that fits. This is more like liberal. I'm not sure how to describe these all economically. These are like tough, but I would say let's talk about taxing, right? Taxing seems reasonable, okay? The benefits of these companies should be going to the people of of our state, at least in some form, through wages, infrastructure, etc. Yeah, okay, so grain silos will give us +2 food per farmer in here, which is actually quite a decent amount of food. That'll keep us growing for a while, so I'll grab the grain silo, as well as the great fisher market, giving us a little bit of extra gold. But I will prioritize the inventor's workshop here, because that's actually worth quite a good chunk of science. That might even push us up over the 1,000 science per turn from the city. And then I'll just grab the playhouse. Again, this building feels a little bit weak. I feel like it should be like +4 influence on main plaza, +1 influence from other things. Like if you think about it, I'm making nearly 2,000 influence per turn. This feels a little bit weak, so either other stuff needs to be nerfed or it needs to be buffed. Would be my hot take. So again, Knossos is hitting up against its population limit. So I think some hamlets in here is the correct move to get this city just to have enough jobs to be reasonable and keep growing. Akkad, I could get an obsidian manufactory, which I'm kind of excited about the idea. Why can't I do it there? That's interesting. Well, I'll pop the obsidian manufactory here, and then probably a market quarter beside it. And then how do I feel about a sage manufactory? Yeah, let's do a sage manufactory, and we'll pop down, I don't know, a couple market quarters. A couple of market quarters nearby, never hurt nobody. It'll increase my gold income. Obligations of the state. The rights of people are now enshrined in the fundamental principles of my government. So now I can talk about citizenship, which is a part of this sort of community/law. Okay, +25 stability on every city for universal citizenship, or select citizenship, which gives me +5 stability on market quarters. This would move me very heavily towards authority, which would lower my influence, which I don't want. So I'm going to hold on to this decision maybe until the next era, because I don't need either of those sources of stability. With the Opera House and the massive amount of stability that it's giving me, I'm feeling very comfortable as it currently stands. Memphis is doing really fantastically. It has massive amounts of population. It might be the first city in my game ever to hit 100 population. Very, very excited about the fact that we built a manufactory, which means we have extra power over these. I'm not sure exactly how that matters or how it works exactly, but I know that it gives us special benefits for selling them or something like that, which is obviously really, really cool. Do I want to focus on science in this city, or do I want to focus on gold? Because I have plenty of food, I have plenty of industry, so what do I want to sort of focus the city towards? Influence would be good, but I don't really have a good way to increase the influence of this city without like building commons quarters. Like I could get a +5 influence commons quarter over here, but I don't need the stability, so that's the thing. I don't need the stability. Growing the city more is kind of a cute idea as well. I reckon we focus a little bit on gold, because we've kind of been neglecting our gold income here. So let's have a look and see where they think the best spots are. So there's a couple of spots over here near these luxuries that seem pretty good. a couple more spots here. Yeah, I think I'll pop down 2 market quarters here and here, and then here and here as well. Speaking of the devil, a few extra market quarters, just touching as many of these districts as possible. Plus, that means that this operating house is touching the maximum number of districts, so I'm getting as many refunds on my district stability as possible. Encyclopedia has been researched, cheaper civics, as well as I can no longer chop population for production, which was something that I was able to do, but I never used that power because I'm kind of dubious as to how good it is because I've used it before. I think it is good in certain circumstances, but I just wanted to avoid using it for this particular game. And we also have access to the Academy now, which will give us a ton of extra science. So with the research of Encyclopedia, I will come over to my capital and make sure that I prioritize getting the Academy in here because this is my best city for science. In fact, I could purchase it. I'm up to 1,000 science. Boom, I buy it. Another 100 science per turn. Not like the most amazing exchange for 30,000 gold, but you know, not too bad. I need 3 more techs for a bronze star. So let's go back and research 3 cheap techs. So we'll get those done nice and quick. Production in here is coming up and up and up and up. But I probably should deal with these units here, these swordsmen. I tell you what, they are 35 combat strength. So let's just get like 2 elephants and an extra knight, and then we should be able to deal with that pretty easily. We got our grain silos in Hagmatana. The city should start growing. We can get a papyrus manufactory, which I will absolutely be doing. Boosh, thank you. Getting all the manufactories, which feels really good. I think I had planned to put a merchant quarter down here. So I'll place a couple of merchant quarters here and get them ready to go. We have another new civic, the meaning of art. So we have artistic ownership. So we could say academic artists will give us access to the Academy of Arts, which looks like a building of some kind. Weird. It's weird that this is displayed as like a little symbol. Odd. But it would move us more towards homeland, which would give us extra combat strength. Whereas independent artists would move us towards liberty. Independent artists would give us +1 influence on commons quarters, which seems really good scaling, whereas Academy of Arts would give us influence on research quarters. I like the idea of academic arts, because that means as I'm building my research quarters, I'm getting the influence I need. We're up to 2,000 influence per turn now, which means 6 turns from now we'll hit our first estate star, which is quite good because we'll get 144 fame for that. We've already hit the gold star for builders. So like that's just, hopefully that kind of just puts in perspective how good my production is this game. That I hit gold star in this like only a few turns into this era, and I'm almost ready to go to the final era of the game, actually, I believe. Yeah, final era. We're almost there. I've never seen anything in the final era. Probably spend a lot of time. Probably spend like the entire next episode in this era, and then we'll go into the final era. Naval artillery has been researched, which gives us army defenses, as well as the Karak. Nothing too important there. And I think Thebes is just about ready for like a little bit of extra infrastructure. Like I'm missing quite a bit of my science infrastructure in here. So if I were to pick up things like the inventor's workshop, as well as the printing house and the cabinet of curiosities, that would hopefully boost up my science in here. And then if I go ahead and pop down a few scientific districts around this iron here, that would hopefully result in the city having the science it needs to keep going, because I built up the food in here now to the point where we're growing quite quickly. So if I can pop down a few science districts, that all will be good. And then I may as well pop in a grain silo as well at the end of that. So the city's going to be busy for a while. You know what? Let's pop in the extra production from that in here, the high furnace. It's not much production, but it will actually just get us over the line. Haranica again, we have managed to get the food up in here because we just spent a bit of time building farmers' quarters over here. We can build a silver manufactory, and I think I had planned to put one right there, which is perfect. And then I had planned to also put a few of these merchant quarters around it, but it would also be a good idea for me to focus on science in here. So that'll be what I'll do in here as well. Is there any production things I need to pick up? I don't think so. May as well grab that +2 food on river. But yeah, I'll spend a little bit of time building up the gold in here. It'll take some time, but the amount of stability I have is kind of absurd. I'm up to 30 market quarters, by the way. Let's make that 31. Boosh, +27 gold and +1 influence. On my empire, at this point, the yields are just becoming insane. 10% money, +5 luxury resource. Yeah, I need to get some of these things built. It would be good if I identified a strategic resource in this area, and there is one over here. So what I will probably do is start doing that now, is getting sciencey stuff in here. I start building up the total amount of science in my empire. Mercantilism has been researched. Zero-sum trade system. This maximizes the exports at the expense of other nations and one's colonies. So we have colonial administration. We could potentially be handling 11 cities right now. I could, in theory, if I wanted to, break off a few of these sections of my capital and stuff like that and pop in new cities. I don't know if that's good to do yet. I haven't really learned what the what the late game play is. Maybe that's the good thing to do? I don't know. It seems like some of the power is actually like combining cities together. But individual cities also have their advantages, maybe. Like I could turn this whole 3 section of Lion Rock, Avior, and Kurha into a single city. That would be like super powerful if I so wished. I get the manufacture here. +1 industry per worker seems pretty good, as well as 2 worker slots. So I'll pop that in there. But yeah, the production in here is so insane that I can pretty much focus on whatever I want. It probably would be a good idea for me to do a little bit of production focus in my capital, just for a few minutes. Like throw down a few more of these production districts just to get that up. But with the end of that turn and the final movement of stuff in a CAD here, I think we just built some farmer stuff, so I'll make sure to round that out. I think I'm going to call that the end of the episode. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.